Claudine Longet is a former actress and singer who never really caught a break during her time in the spotlight. Instead, she caught homicide charges. Despite having appeared alongside famous comedic actor Peter Sellers in the 1968 film The Party and having released a hit album with A&M Records, not much came of her career. Instead, she retreated into a private life outside show business after being charged with the murder of her romantic partner. Join Facts First as we explore how beautiful Claudine Longet got away with murder and take a look at where she is now. Claudine Longet was born January 29, 1942 in Paris. Her mother and father were both in the medical profession, though Claudine started showing interest in becoming a performer from a young age. Her father was a doctor and her mother worked in the manufacturing of X-ray machines. During her late teen years, Claudine could be found working as a professional dancer at a popular cabaret located in Paris. She caught the attention of a man named Lou Walters who owned a club in Las Vegas, and he invited Claudine to the American city to become one of his dancers. Though Claudine started out as a dancer for Lou, she quickly grew in popularity until she was on her way to becoming a star. In 1961, she married pop music legend Andy Williams. In addition to having popular songs featured in hit movies like Breakfast at Tiffany's, Andy Williams was also the host of his own variety show for much of the 60s. That show, The Andy Williams Show, was the vessel that turned Claudine Longet into a celebrity. The show came on the air in 1962, shortly after the two got married. Andy wasn't afraid to give Claudine a chance to shine on his series, and she certainly did. How Claudine got her record contract. Shortly after doing some breakout work as both a singer and actress on her husband's variety series, Claudine Longet was offered the chance to sign a record contract with A&M Records. Andy was friends with popular musician Herb Alpert of the band Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. Alpert also happens to be one of the founders of A&M, and their friendship secured Claudine her record contract with the label. It also didn't hurt that her television performances up until that point had been very popular, with hordes of fans calling up after each episode to find out who she was. Her acting career was mostly relegated to a handful of appearances in popular television shows. Comparatively, she released 5 records through A&M Records alone. Following her days with A&M, Claudine has continued releasing music into the new millennium. The reason she left A&M was because her husband Andy had opened up his own record label, and Claudine became one of that label's first big stars. Her first album was her biggest. It was called Claudine and released on A&M. It's said to have sold over 1 million copies and yielded a handful of hits that entered into the pop music charts. It was released in 1967, and she entered the 70s with the hope she'd have a long and successful career in the entertainment industry. Before we tell you more about Claudine Longet, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. Her marriage to Andy Williams ended amicably. Claudine and Andy had 3 children over the course of the 60s, but by the end of the 60s, it's been said they had experienced enough of each other. It seems the pair's breakup was mutual, and there were no hard feelings that came from the separation. Their divorce wasn't finalized until 1975, but by this point, Claudine had already moved on and in with another man. That man was Olympic skier Spider Sabich, and Claudine would be charged with murdering him by the time the decade was up. Claudine Longet always loved skiing. Some have suggested Claudine and Andy met while skiing, though there seems to be a handful of different stories about how the two met. After separating from Andy, and long before the finalization of their divorce, Claudine moved her and her kids to Aspen, Colorado in the early 70s. She did this to be closer to the slopes, and this is how she ended up meeting Spider Sabich. Following the finalization of Claudine and Andy's divorce, the two remained great friends until Andy's death in 2012. This greatly helped the two co-parent their children, with one of their kids claiming he was barely even aware of the fact that his parents were divorced while growing up. Claudine's romance with Spider Sabich ended in tragedy. As a result of their shared passion for skiing, Claudine Longet and Spider Sabich quickly fell in love. They moved in together, though their relationship ended in tragedy when Claudine apparently shot her new romantic partner at point-blank range with a pistol. According to Claudine, Spider was trying to show her how to use a firearm and the gun went off by accident. But Spider's family has never been satisfied with the story Claudine gave. It seems Claudine and Spider never had much domestic trouble during their relatively short-lived relationship. But despite that, Spider's family has always felt Claudine's side of the story doesn't add up. The gunshot killed Spider, and Claudine was charged with his murder. Although Spider Sabich's family didn't take Claudine's word for it that the gunshot that killed him was an accident, the courts were another story. The courts could find no motive for Claudine to have killed her romantic partner and were led to believe that the murder had truly been an accident. Because of this, though Claudine was convicted of the crime, she only served around a month in total. Not only that, but Claudine was apparently given the option to serve this month's sentence over the course of several weekends and was allowed to go home during the weekdays. Many people considered Claudine to be guiltier than she let on, and those people were understandably perturbed that the star essentially got off scot-free with the murder of a famous Olympic athlete. Some such perturbed parties included Spider's family, though they went on to get their due in civil court following her sentencing. In the civil case, Spider Sabich's family was said to have asked for upwards of $1 million, but the matter was settled out of court for an undisclosed sum. Part of the settlement dictated that Claudine could never talk about the crime again, and she's made good on that promise. She has refused to talk about the murder and has essentially stayed completely out of the public spotlight for the past 4 decades. Claudine and her lawyer fell in love. Claudine's attorney in the case was local Aspen lawyer Ron Austin. During the trial, Claudine and Ron ended up falling in love. Some assumed that Claudine seduced her lawyer because she thought it would help her case. But the fact of the matter is, it seems the two were actually legitimately attracted to each other. They tied the knot in 1985 and are still together to this day. The two still reside in Aspen, Colorado. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Claudine Longet should have gotten a lengthier prison sentence? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Factsverse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content. By the way, if you haven't joined Factsverse as a member yet, be sure to look below this video and click the join button. By becoming a paid member of Factsverse, you'll get access to exclusive video content that you won't find anywhere else. This includes some of our more mature content that isn't suitable for public audiences, which includes topics like Hollywood actresses who posed for Playboy and some of the steamiest moments in movie history. Plus, you can enjoy these videos completely ad-free. Our biggest fans will notice they also get badges next to their name when they leave comments on our videos. We pay special attention to comments from our members, and so do other viewers. So if you want exclusive content from Factsverse or inside access to discussions with other community members, click the join button to get started for just $4.99. There are hours of members-only videos waiting for you, with new videos added every month. And we're actively working on bringing even more features to help fans like you connect with other members and get more of your favorite content. Just click join, and we'll see you inside the membership tab.